When I was pushing paper for 9 hours, going into work at 8, getting off by 6, being home by 7, in bed by 9, it was so routine, it was so mundane that you lose your drive. And then that's when you fall into depression. You start to question who you are. Like, am I following my dream? Do I feel fulfilled? Am I happy?
Welcome back to the Ground Up Show. My name is Matt Diavella, and that voice you just heard was Jess Lizama. Jess is a YouTuber and blogger that talks about her experiences in lifestyle design, cooking, relationships. In our conversation, we talk about how to build an audience today, the importance of sleep, how to maintain early morning routines, and much, much more. This is Ground Up episode number 30. Jess, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. That was really good intro music.
You like it?
I was jamming. I was like,
yeah. I feel like I want to start the show off on the right note. I want to get some energy going. There's a lot I want to talk about.
I know. I'm excited.
I did some deep digging today into your YouTube past.
Oi.
And it goes back far.
Yeah, since 2009. Did you see the Exotic Jess days?
I did. I was like, I need to watch the very first one. I got to start. And this is just like, you're embarrassed now?
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, the Exotic Jess days were different days from today. I just love seeing the progression. I love seeing just somebody starting something and not totally thinking everything through and just kind of posting. Yeah. And all right, I'm going to get better. I'm just going to start now, and then I'm going to get better. But like, it's amazing how far you've come since then.
Thank you. Yes. In 2009, I was doing those sketch comedies, and my friend Steve, he said it best. He's like, looks like Blue's Clues for adults. If you can imagine what that looks like. Everything was green screen, and I was kind of making fun of relationships and life, and I was playing every character. So I was myself on a date, and I'd be myself, the date, and the waiter, or the theater patrons. So yeah, I should pull those down. I'm kind of embarrassed by them, but yeah. I then rebranded because I'm a mom, and mom brands did not want to work with me because I was Exotic Jess, exotic like a flower, not like a dancer. But yeah, so I had to rebrand, and I started doing mom type content and travel vlogs, and totally moved my content over.
I want to go back into that stuff and talk about your journey. Okay. But first, for people who aren't familiar with some of the work you do, what kind of content do you make? What kind of videos do you make these days?
So these days I'm doing vlogs, video blogs, and I blog also. So I started my website about 4 years ago, and I kind of umbrella the lifestyle genre. So it's health and lifestyle, it's beauty, it's fitness, it's foodie, it's mom stuff, it's everything, but done in a way that's very true to me, which is if I'm going to do beauty videos, I'm going to make fun of them, and I'm going to do it in 5 minutes, because it should not take you longer than 5 minutes to get ready in the morning. In my personal opinion, I don't have enough time. So yeah, those are the kind of videos that I do. That's
great, because it does seem like people take themselves a little bit too seriously. Before YouTube, before you ever posted a video, what was your life like?
Single mom, my daughter. I was 16 when I had my daughter Corinne. She's going to be 20 next month. So I was doing the whole single mom thing, living with my best friend from college at the time, going through a breakup, and trying to find my way out of that. And the way that I did that was through comedy. I was going to college because I wanted to be a pharmacist, straight up living every Asian dream, making my parents very proud. And then I started doing YouTube, and it took off very quickly because I collabed with people like Totally Sketch and Shane Dawson. And I did the collabs in the days where they actually worked the way that they're supposed to, in that they really drive to whatever that you're doing. I feel like collabs now, they're harder on YouTube just because the space is so saturated. But that's how I really built my YouTube career, was I collabed every weekend, and then finally just eventually moved my daughter and I from Fresno to Los Angeles, after a year.
Okay, so you weren't in LA at that time.
No, I was in Fresno, still going to school.
When you say put that first video up, what was YouTube like? What was the internet like? This is 2009.
Oh man, it was so different. So on YouTube back in 2009, you weren't even a partner yet. You had to apply to become a YouTube partner to get AdSense placed against your content. So it took me like 2 months to get my application in and get approved before I had ads put on my content. And so doing the very first video, I was working with my friend Drew. He was a videographer, editor, photographer, and we went through the first video, put it up just in the hopes that people would find it funny, and it really took off. It's like my #1 video. It's the cop one.
Oh, wow.
So embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, I was using my angles literally to get people there, and then they would stay for the content.
Well, that was a big thing of YouTube, especially in the early days, and I'm curious about how it's changed since then. But it's the thumbnails, it's the title, the description that you have, like all these things kind of pull people in, and it seemed more important back then.
And honestly, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You would think it would, and it would advance somehow, but still, I still go back and I review my metrics on my videos, and the ones that do the best have the poppiest thumbnail, the most catching title, and the tags are all in line. So now there's places like vidIQ. Had you used that site?
No.
So you can plug in what you think you want your title to be, and it will pull in everything from YouTube that's being highly searched, and then tell you SEO-wise what you should title your video as.
Yeah, this is one of those things that for a long time, and I've only been creating original content like this for about less than a year. But in the beginning, it was I would label and name all my podcasts by the person who I was interviewing. And then I had a bunch of people suggest I should probably be a little bit more descriptive, a little bit more catchy. And I think I was resistant to do that because I was worried I would be clickbaity, I would be sensational, and I wouldn't be true and authentic to myself and what I want to get across. But there certainly is a lot that's very important about making sure people see your stuff. You don't just work really hard on something,
right,
put it out there. All right, let's not even label it. Let's have no name on this YouTube video. Nobody's going to watch it.
It's the discoverability, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I want to stay authentic and I don't want that clickbait, but I also want people who would otherwise not see my video, because then they'll fall in love with the content, they'll come back, and then there you've built your core audience, your tribe.
Right. So I think you have to play the game a little bit, and it's all about how you present yourself online. And I want to get into this later too, a little bit deeper, is just the whole branding and how we position ourselves. But once you get into it, that's when it really gets important. And if you're still giving clickbaity type content and information once you're like 5 minutes into a video, then that's probably not a good look.
Right, not a good look. It's not cute. But I feel like once you do build out that tribe, that core audience who comes back no matter what you talk about or how you do things, then you can really talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. And you don't have to play the game anymore. I would still stick to bright thumbnails and tags and titles, but the content can be whatever you want it to be. So in the beginning of when I transitioned my content, I would talk about beauty things that I didn't necessarily want to talk about, but I talked about them in the way that felt true to me, and then they would catch on, and then beauty videos started to do better and better because people realized that it wasn't just a beauty video, it was done and spoken in my own voice.
You talk about building your tribe. How long did it take to build your tribe? And obviously in the beginning you are attracting some riffraff in there, yeah, some like really inappropriate YouTube comments, and then how does your tribe build and evolve with you?
I attracted some stragglers for sure. I feel like that happens when you gain audience from anyone else. You get that cross saturation of them. But for me, it took like a good year for people to start defending me in the comments. So if someone said something inappropriate, they would boot them out and I wouldn't have to do the whole block and delete thing. I still have to do that sometimes, but through changing my content, that also changed my audience. So it's ever changing. It depends. Right now I'm at 50-50, so 50% of my audience is male and 50% of my audience is female. But for a long time, it was like 80% male. And that's because the Exotic Jess days, very cleavy, comedy-based. So I'm proud of my audience now, and they're my tribe.
As you started to create content, how did the content start to change? Because in the beginning it seemed like it was more sketchy, and then it became more focused on relationships and giving real practical advice for people to follow.
Yeah, I feel like my content changed as I changed as a person. So I was going through a breakup and I wanted to make fun of that because that was the way I was giving myself therapy. And now it's more focused about being married, being a mom, having two puppies, traveling, goals that I want long term because that's who I am and that's where I'm at right now. So I feel like a big part of my audience is also, I'm right between that 18 and 35-year-old range. But a big part of my audience is my daughter's age. So I just think about the things that I talk about with her and the things that I want to teach her. And I kind of use my platform as quote unquote Mama Lizama moments where I take a topic like I got married, why you shouldn't, and I talk about it. Because this is, not my first time at the rodeo. I've been married and divorced before. So it's just me going through everything I've been through in life and using that to give people insight.
Was it hard in the beginning to have a true voice that felt true to yourself?
Absolutely. And I feel like I still struggle with that because now that it's a business, and you've turned your passion into your business and this is your livelihood, you team up with brands who want to change you. They don't want to change you, but they want to have their voice interjected into yours. So it's really staying true. The way that I stay on brand is I don't team up with brands that I don't genuinely support. And so, but it is difficult. When someone says, I want to throw money at you, of course, your initial reaction is be like, give me all the money.
Yeah.
But then you have to realize long term, you can't go for the cash grab.
You can't, because it's not going to, I think you're probably going to start isolating your audience.
Right, which is the worst.
They're not going to be happy if they feel like you're just peddling something or selling out. So you obviously have to be very careful and very aware of every time that you would help promote or push a product. You had built your audience pretty quickly, it sounds like, in the beginning. And then you had the YouTube monetization coming in. At that time, YouTube monetization itself has changed a lot and some videos get demonetized. How successful were you early on with that? And were you able to actually make a sustaining income to provide for yourself and your daughter?
So it was funny because back then I wasn't on a weekly schedule, still am not. The whole be persistent, be consistent, I still struggle with that myself because we're constantly hemorrhaging content. But early on when the CPM would be like $6.90, that you uploaded right then and there, 4 videos if you could. And I made a pretty good living. I was able to support myself and my daughter on just doing YouTube. And then from that, you align yourself with brands that you stand behind, and then you just increase your overall income, and then now this is your career.
Did you have anybody that helped you, any mentors that you went to in those days, or was this all trial by fire?
It was trial by fire. Although I feel like no one does it alone. We all start from 0 subscribers, and it really was me doing these collaborative videos with people who aligned with my audience and the things that I was talking about, and size-wise, and then just us kind of exchanging content for content.
It does seem really daunting, especially in, say, 2017, to imagine somebody who was starting a Twitter account, Facebook account, Instagram from scratch. Most of us don't start from scratch. We have our family and friends that are close by, which actually I think sometimes makes it harder because I'm like, do I want to put this out and only share it with my family and friends? And what are they going to think of me? Are they going to make fun of me? Sometimes it's easier to really be yourself online when you don't have all your family and friends watching, and you can just speak your mind. But yeah, imagine somebody who's trying to do that today. What advice would you give them? What do you think that they should do to start to develop something worth watching?
I've had a lot of audience members ask me how to start a YouTube channel. And it comes back to the top 5 things, right? It's know what your passion is, build out your niche, and then stay true to your brand, because being authentic is everything. And then it's the other 2, which is being consistent and persistent. So I think if you're in it for the money, it's not going to work. But if you follow your passion and you're very specific, even one up that and be an expert in that niche. So say you want to do fitness, but even you are a personal trainer or a nutritionist. So now you have clout and people can trust you. And you're not just someone just throwing something against the wall and saying, hey, this is what I think and this is what I do. It's worked for me. Hopefully it works for you. I think that there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great point. Is the clout? Clout's important, but you don't need to have any awards to have it. You can just really do the research, and if you're really into fitness, take some courses, learn about it, read some books, and really immerse yourself in that knowledge so you can say that you're an expert in something.
Education is key, because no matter what you want your passion to be, if you're educated about it and you can share that with people, like, that's what keeps them coming back. People are addicted to personality. Of all the videos that I've ever done, it's the things that I talk about with me being a single mom and what it was like being a teen mom, and Joe and I in our relationship and our family life, that does the best. It performs the best because at the end of the day, they're there to see you and how they can relate to you as a person.
I have trouble with the education side of things because I'm either in work mode or I'm in consume mode. I'm either in create or consume. So I can spend an entire day editing podcasts, working on a film, side projects, and that's all that I do for 10 hours. Or I could spend 10 hours listening to podcasts, watching Netflix specials and documentaries and learning and educating. I have a really hard time bringing both these together, to put the pause on one and to move to the next. How does that look like in your life?
I feel like I'm aligning with what you're saying. I also either create or consume. It's really hard to consume as a creator, though, too, you know, as a YouTuber, content creator, influencer. When I started, that wasn't even a thing. So I would watch my friends' videos, and now the space is so saturated. There's so many YouTubers. It's like, how do I know what's good? How do I know who I want to watch, who I want to follow? And there's no more YouTube homepage. Now the narrative is they give you what they think you are going to see based on your watch history. So as somebody who, I'm thinking longevity-wise, career-wise, where do I want to be in 5 years? Do I want to be on YouTube? It's getting in that suggested videos on the lower right-hand corner. And the way that you do that is through the algorithm, which is ever changing. And the algorithm right now is on watch time per video. So if they can stay to the end and then, you know, you keep popping up in the suggested videos, the better. That's great. So I go through my uploaded videos. I see where people are clicking off, and then that's when I drop in an annotation.
That's really clever.
Keep them on your channel. Put it in a playlist.
Yeah, that is, I think it's the extra thought that goes into it. And I think for somebody that's just starting out, that's probably not the most important thing. Like when I think about when I started uploading videos and making content, I probably would have just been too distracted, and it was a little bit overwhelming to even understand the interface. How do I even change the title of a video? How do I do this and that? But eventually, as you get more and more experience and you check those boxes off, I feel like that's like the next step to be able to really understand how your audience interacts. You know, say if you have a newsletter and you're sending out emails and your click-through rate is like 20% on one email and 70% on the other, try to figure out why. And then I think I would hope it comes down to it's not adding enough value, but it obviously could come down to it's just not being presented in the right way.
And you're completely right. It also is, how can I ramp up engagement, and taking those cues from your audience to see when they're most engaged and the topics that engage them and that they want to hear you talk about or see you talk about. Yeah, it's tricky, but I think if you start off with the passion part, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be the education expert, look at annotations, look at the metrics part, but just being passionate about something and sticking to what's true to you, I think that's what people are most attracted to.
YouTube has changed a lot. And when you got in the game in 2009, a little bit easier to cut through the clutter. Yeah. You know, more than 10 years later, close to 10 years later, it's radically different, and the platform might be different. I guess, yeah, what would you suggest? Would you suggest somebody start a YouTube channel, or do you think maybe they should go straight to Instagram or start with a blog?
I think Instagram's the easiest, just because it's just an app on your phone. You can upload a photo. You can interact without having to follow someone. You don't even have to upload anything to your own profile to interact with someone. Whereas YouTube, it's a little more labor intensive, but I don't regret it at all. I highly encourage everyone to take their passion and put it and share it with the world. But it is that thing where it's like there's always a platform coming up every day. Mm-hmm. So you were saying that, you know, the fast feed of content in like Snapchat. I used to be on Snapchat all the time. I still use it. I could still consume by it. But since Instagram now has the Instagram stories, that's just another element that it keeps me on that platform. It's so different when now it's become your business. Things to think about.
Do you get help from your daughter who's in college? Does she give you, like, you go to her and say, hey, what are the kids doing? Because I find myself doing this with my younger siblings for sure.
Absolutely. Crazy kids, what you guys into these days? She actually helps style my shoots. And if I have something going live on an Instagram story, she helps do that, because now you can add all those filters and stickers and polls. And so she keeps it easy on the eye, because she keeps telling me, Mom, it's all about, people's attention span is so short. And so you just want them to look at it, consume it, interact with it, move on. So it has to be fast, like fast consumption, but to like the highest impact it.
Yeah, I think that's true, especially for new audiences. But I think that we're starting to develop an appetite for longer form content.
I hope so.
And I think that's partly with the podcasts. People can actually listen to an hour and a half conversation. And I think when I think back to my parents' day, like, they would listen to AM talk radio. And as a kid, I'd be like, oh, this is crazy. Maybe it's because we're getting older, and now we're like, we could actually sit down and our attention span is settled a little bit more. When you're, if you're going 18 to 25-year-olds, if that's who you're talking to, you probably got to pull them in with a little bit more
content,
content, like right to the point, and not going on too much. But I feel like the older I get, I enjoy hearing an authentic conversation, and almost feeling as if I could be a part of that conversation.
Me too. And I feel like you're right. It is platform specific. So your audience on Instagram may consume quickly, whereas your audience on your blog and your YouTube channel, whereas it favors longer form content. Anything over 10 minutes does the best. And that's the content they promote. Or a podcast, they do want long form content, which is great.
We have a finite amount of time in the day to make the stuff we want to make, to post across all social accounts. There's probably, besides the main Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, there's probably another 20 that we could be on that are really popular and doing well and have thriving communities. But you can't do everything.
Right.
You can't make every piece of content you want. You can't interview everybody you want. How do you, split up your time? How do you split up your time during the day, and what are the things that you need to focus on that are the most important to get your job done?
For me, it's taking those cues from my audience. So which platform are they interacting the most on? And for me personally, that's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So those are the 4 platforms that I focus the most of my time on. And when I release something to YouTube, I will be very specific on which platform that I post, how I post that. I will speak that platform's language. Quote unquote. So Twitter's post will be different from how I share it on Facebook, from how I share it on Instagram. So it's just like taking that one content and sharing it across the ones that do the best, but in a way that's authentic to that audience.
Do you do the cropping of the videos and adjusting in that way as well?
I do, and that's really difficult. I feel like at some point you just need a team. You just need a team.
Yeah, I was talking about that with Joe, where it's like, you, especially to do the sketches and to be consistent, and you want to make 2 to 3 videos a week, you really need a team to make it happen, especially if you're not making money, because it's hard when you're not making money. And obviously that's kind of counterintuitive, because if you have a team, then you're spending money. But it's very hard to keep things going, especially for people if you have a full-time job. Like, that transition to me, I'm fascinated with, and I think it's probably the hardest to pull off.
I agree. And I feel like once you, like, let's say, because I did start YouTube when I had a full-time job, and I was going to school, and I was a mom. So it was just doing it as a passion side project that turned into, this is now my career. And the more time that I give to it, trust me, I get so frustrated sometimes, because I'm like, there's no more content that I can give the internets without me feeling like I'm not fulfilled. So it's playing that balance and finding it, really like fine-tuning what I want to do and how I'm going to talk about it. That's not so invasive that I've lost who I am and what I want to do, just because I'm trying to be topical for the sake of content.
So you can't just churn it out.
You cannot.
You will burn out pretty quickly, I imagine. Did you ever have a point like that where you were just trying to fill a quota?
Matt, every day. Every day I'm like, oh man, what am I going to talk about today that they're going to be interested in, that I want to talk about? But for me, coming back to the video blogging is the easiest thing for me, because it's just talking to a camera the way that I'm talking to you now and taking a topic that's relevant to the day or whatever I'm feeling. I just shot out, I'm doing October, where you vlog every day in October. Haven't started it yet, but I'm going to. And I just take a topic that's something my daughter has asked about. And for she and I, we talk about motivation a lot. We talk about comparison on Instagram and social media, and how kids are so, they're it makes an impression on them. And so those are the things I talk about, like how you should not compare your hustle to somebody else's highlight reel. Very important. So it's just me taking a topic like that and talking about it. That makes me feel fulfilled as a creator, and it keeps me on track with content.
Everybody's saying you have to make as much content as you can, give the people what they want. But I think people leave out the point where you have to create meaningful content. You need to create content that fulfills you, that you're proud of and can stand beside, as well as making content that's going to help people and actually inspire people to change or to think about their life in a different way.
And I think that's what makes you stand out, like that's my whole brand ethos, is I'm going to be true to me. I'm going to talk about the things that have happened to me and the people that I love. And if it can help someone, because man, have I been through the ringer, but haven't we all? We're all going through some shit. Everyone's going through sludge, and we're just trying to make it out okay, because there's no handbook to life and how to succeed in life, how to be okay. And so I just try to take that into what I'm doing and be like, okay, I may be stressed out that I have a deadline, but this is my work now and I can't complain. I love what I do. Make it so that it helps me, but it also helps the people that I'm watching. Take a topic.
Do you have daily rituals that help you to keep that in focus?
I do. I do have a daily ritual, and it's funny that you call it a ritual, because I never even thought of it like that. I always refer to things as schedules, but this is a ritual. Get up in the morning and have a tall glass of room temperature water with lemon. Very specific, right?
Yeah. Can you explain that?
I read somewhere that if you have room temperature water with a whole squeezed, like lemon juice from a whole squeezed lemon, it introduce that first into your body as soon as you wake up, that it flushes out the toxins, it boosts your metabolism, it gets your digestive system going, it revs you up, that it's better than coffee. And then I'll do boot camp class. That's my time to give back to myself.
What time do you wake up?
Between 6 and 7 a.m. every day. And I'm habitual. So I'm a creature of habit. Doesn't matter if I go to bed at 5 a.m. I'm up by 6 or 7. I go to my boot camp class, come home, have a shake, and then I try to meditate. But for me, meditating isn't what most people think of when they think of meditation. For me, it's just sitting by myself and trying to calm myself down while looking through my planner. I know that's bizarre, right? Look at your planner and that's a stress relief. But I put stickers in the planner. I block out my day on the planner, and then somehow, some way, that's some form of meditation for me that calms me before I head on.
Are you very well organized?
Yes.
It sounds like you are, with the stickers, but it's analog as well. Do you have this stuff digitally? You have a calendar where you keep stuff organized?
I probably have 5 calendars, and that's so weird, because but I have one on my phone, I have one hanging up above my desk, I have one on my desktop, which is in Google, and then I have the planner. I am living in the 80s, where if someone asks me for lunch, I'm like, I gotta go home to get my planner, because I'm not sure if I'm available that day. But for me, getting out everything that's in my head and just putting it onto the planner and kind of organizing it that way doesn't make me feel so overwhelmed, because then you can tackle one thing at a time and physically cross it off the list,
It's a good feeling.
So good.
Yeah, I love that feeling. I'll do, on my to-do list, Natalie was making fun of me because there was just one day where I wrote brush teeth. I was trying to put together, all right, this is what I'm gonna do in the morning. I'm gonna do this, and then she's like, get a job. You can't put brush teeth on a to-do list. But
I put woke up, wake up.
Yeah, wake up.
I've put wake up on my to-do list.
Yeah. All right, so you wake up every day 6 to 7 a.m. Was that a habit that was hard to build? Have you always been an early riser?
I feel like my whole thought process on getting up early and starting the day early all really changed within the last 5 years. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that was me hitting 30 and I'm like, I need more time, or if that just was me feeling the urgency to get more things done. But it was really easy to do. I think once I put myself on autopilot, alarm goes off, I don't even think about how tired I am. I just literally roll out of bed, put on my gym clothes, brush my teeth, pop in my eyes, contacts, and head out the door. And then once you're out, you don't regret that. I've never regretted getting out the door early. It's the regret getting out of bed late.
Yeah, isn't that the worst?
It's
when
the
you
worst.
feel like you've just wasted your entire day.
Yes.
That's the hardest thing in the beginning when you first being an entrepreneur and say you've started to gain some momentum and you're making some money and you now have the freedom to wake up whenever you want. You will probably for a while enjoy the sleeping in until 11 or 12 and not working until maybe 6 p.m. or 5 p.m., just being very lazy. And every once in a while, I fall back into that. Not that often, but eventually you realize, especially as you mature and you start to, if you have a family and you understand that you want to make time for the relationships in your life. Most people are on that 9-to-5 schedule, so you probably should as well. Like getting to bed at the same time as your significant other or waking up a little bit early so that way you can wrap up work early to spend time with your family is really important.
For a lot of things in life, routine is the enemy. But for me, having some sort of routine every day kind of keeps me sane because I don't know what's going to happen in that day. And you're right, we're our own bosses. So who's going to get us up in the morning? Who's going to make sure we reach that deadline? Who's going to make sure we go to the meeting? You have to be so self-motivated, and we're human. I wake up and there's some days where I'm like, draw the blinds. There are some days where I make the bed just so that I don't get back in it. Like the reality is you're going to have your highs and your lows. You're going to have really great months and you're going to have really shit months. And it all comes with being your own boss. It all comes with feast or famine. You know, you have amazing months where you're getting tons of work and then some that are slow where you really got to grind and you got to hustle. But at the end of the day, at the end of the year, I'm like, I got a lot accomplished today. I did so much this year. And then that's what drives you. You're addicted to the results, much like working out.
Mm-hmm. You said that there's some bad things in routine. What do you think is bad about routine?
I think when something becomes too routine, okay, specifically in relationships, I think nothing should be routine in relationships, in those kinds of things. But in your day, I think when I was pushing paper for 9 hours, going into work at 8, getting off by 6, being home by 7, in bed by 9, it was so routine, it was so mundane that you lose your drive. And then that's when you fall into depression. You start to question who you are. Like, am I following my dream? Do I feel fulfilled? Am I happy? So that's when you have to break the routine. In relationships with Joe all the time, Joe and I used to both work from home, and to break our routine, we were not allowed to have date night at home because it's like having date night at the workspace, you know? So we would always, anytime Friday night comes, we hit the town and break the routine. Even if it's one thing a day where you're like, I have a routine in the morning for myself, that whole morning ritual that you were talking about, that's great. Because then that will break up every other routine that you have that isn't so exciting.
I think that's the one nice thing about having work that you really enjoy and that's fulfilling is that, and also that it changes over time, and what you're doing today might not be what you're doing tomorrow, especially if you're an entrepreneur, business owner. You know, today I might be doing my taxes and then tomorrow I might be shooting a video and then I could be editing, and it does break up the monotony, but it is the routine, I guess, is often there where it's like, this is work time and then this is relaxing time. I think the relationship advice, that's tough, and that's certainly a challenge as to how do we not make our relationships mundane and how do we not fall into the same routine, especially, you know, when you're with somebody 10, 15 years, how do you continue to kind of remove yourself from that routine, and how do you make things interesting and exciting, like when, say, you're first dating someone?
So Joe and I have been together for 7 years. We actually got engaged after 5 years, 6 years, and then got married a year later. But for us, it's that we try not to go to the same place twice, and we try not to talk about work more than 10 minutes. Yes, I want to know about your day. I love you so much. Tell me about your day. But then it has to stop. Otherwise, you're taking work home, right? And you don't want to stress about work. You don't want to stress about money. As an entrepreneur, you do that all day anyway. Because if, truth be told, you're starting off and you're self-funded, then you're wondering, how am I going to make this passion my thing, where it's paying me and now this is my career? So for us, it's team building skills. So taking a dance class, learning how to scuba dive together, doing things that make you both grow together, because now you know so much about the other person. After a certain amount, you can know everything about someone in 6 months. So then honeymoon's over, and what else can we talk about? Like what's there? And it's about breaking up that routine and doing something that's team building skills.
I don't think necessarily in relationships everybody needs to have the same interests, but they need to have the openness to be interested in each other's interests.
Absolutely. Say that 3 times fast.
I think I actually worded that pretty well. But so like I may not be into dancing, but if Natalie really wants to go, all right, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to have fun with her.
Yeah.
Because it's not about you not liking the dancing. It's you doing something with her, and you're going to see her glow and laugh and have fun. And then by the end of it, you know that you're flirting and you're having fun. And that's what you lose in a relationship that you've been in for so long, is the courting stage and the do we still flirt? Do we still laugh? Do we still play? Can we still have a good time and not be the people who don't talk to each other for 4 hours at a dinner table? That's the relationship killer. And if you're let alone going to be married to this person and you're in it for life, then you're in trouble.
The one thing I noticed from watching videos of you guys, you do a lot of the family stuff. You, Joe, your daughter's Corinne.
Yes.
And when you guys are together, you don't get easily offended. Is that because the camera's on, or do you just generally not get offended by jokes, and you know that the intention is that it's playful and you're just messing around?
It's so funny you say that, because I was just talking to my daughter Corinne about that. Because just as you could get easily offended by something your significant other or someone in your family says to you, I feel like that's on the daily, right? So you're correct. It's all about the intention. What is someone's intention behind that? And that goes for everything. It's like I was in a meeting and someone looked at me the wrong way. Well, what was their intention? Maybe they were just getting out of a yawn, and I just caught them on the tail end of that. And I also don't get easily offended. I'm on the internet. I do not get easily offended.
It's got to help. I think that's one of the most important things in a relationship, is just to be able to laugh and poke fun at each other and not take life too seriously. Passive aggressiveness is one of the hardest things to tweeze out in a relationship, and to understand when you're doing it as well as when it's always easier to see when they're doing it. But
absolutely.
When you're doing it, it's just like your ego is overriding your entire system and you're not even in control. How do you approach those situations? How do you know to be more mindful when you might not be the best version of yourself?
I am a constant work in progress. Joe is the calmest person ever. I'm the heat. I'm the fire. I'm the heat. I get riled up very easily. I genuinely I'm sensitive. Not to things, I don't take things personally, but I'm just sensitive to situations. So if I see that he's bothered, then I'm bothered. But definitely he's not easily riled. I'm easily riled. So for me to be the best, he does bring out the best version of myself, and promote happiness and rainbows and unicorns, because he's very calming. And we just have two very different upbringings. So his family is calm and my family is fire. So anytime there was a conversation and someone had a different opinion, they would just yell at you. So I just think now if someone's having a different conversation, you just yell at them. And Joe tries to bring me back down to earth, and he's like, you're here. I'm going to need you to bring it to here.
Yeah.
But he does it in a way that's not offensive. He knows that I'm sensitive to that. And he says it in a way that kind of like takes me out of seeing red. And I'm like, okay, it's just a conversation.
Yeah. I guess life is all about balance, and it's all about pulling yourself back in when you kind of get off track. How do you keep the balance in your life throughout the day, from between work and relationships and experiencing new things?
It's really hard for me to do that. Being self-aware, though, is a huge thing for me. So if I feel myself getting irritated about something, I really have to be an adult, and I have to be like, okay, why am I so irritated right now? And I have to tell you, 98% of the time when I'm driving on LA streets, I'm listening to classical music.
Really?
Or country music. I love country music, but classical music and country music keep me calm and sane, because if you think about it, a lot of things in life revolve around patience. So if I can be patient about this one thing and just let this person in, even if they're having a bad day, I don't know what they're going through, and they cut me off, I could have reacted so differently if my headspace wasn't, if it was there. If I could be just as angry as they are because I'm in that headspace, then you're just creating, now this is road rage, which I'm really good at, by the way.
I was going to say, easier said than done, because people like to beep around here in LA.
Yeah.
Everybody beeps at you. And then I I want to be like, hey, why'd you do that? Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm obeying the traffic law. It was a yellow light, so I stopped.
You don't even know how many times I've yelled at strangers.
Oh my God.
I'm 4'10". Not a good look for me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel like the balance for me also too is just, as you were saying earlier, just having morning rituals. I revisit that sometimes multiple times throughout the day, even if it's just taking a few deep breaths and being like, okay, I'm centered. I can go about my day, and then referring back to my calendar and just getting things done and feeling accomplished. For me, feeling accomplished, even if that's just going and get groceries or doing laundry and knocking that off the list, I feel really good.
Yeah. I'm curious about what your days look like now in terms of, you said you were editing, working on a project this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was that you editing? Do you have other people that help you out? Do you collaborate with people? How do you work with brands? I want to know like the full picture of what work looks like today for you.
Full transparency.
Sure.
I don't have an editor, so Joe will film and edit for me if I have a big brand deal and I want it to be beautiful and sharp looking. Cinematographer, like that's what he does. I don't have that. I just want to be the talent. Just put me in front of the camera, let me do my thing, and then give me the final product. On most days, like today, the brand deal that I was doing, I had to edit in a couple of talking points that I had missed. So on the daily, it's creating content for my blog, for my YouTube channel. It's editing all of my own stuff. It's promotion. A big part of it is promoting all of the work that I do. And then moving on to the next thing, because it's daily. Everything is daily. Instagram's daily, YouTube's daily.
I do notice the Instagram stories. You kill it on that. Do you get pretty good engagement on that compared to the other stuff you do, or is it?
I do.
Yeah. But it's every day. I mean, you're very consistent with it, and it's actually inspiring just to see that routine that you're like going to the gym again today, and it's just like crushing it every day. Like, slow down, you're making us look bad.
Can I tell you, half of that me sharing with the world that I'm going to the gym is for me, because it's holding me accountable, right? Like, if I don't tell everyone that I'm going, what's going to make me do it? I have to. The daily, if I can tell the audience that I'm going, hey guys, hey friends, I'm going to work out. Maybe they'll want to do it too. And also it holds me accountable, because I go every day, because it's also a huge form of stress relief. Just throwing heavy things around and slamming them on the ground, and then getting back to the daily grind really helps me.
You do this before. You were saying you do your workout pretty much first thing in the morning. Do you check emails and stuff before you hit the gym? You might kind of poke around a little bit and see what's happening today.
I do, but have you ever got lost in an email and then you're like, oh, there's my day. Like, it's 2:00.
Yeah, like it happens. You go on the internet, you forget why you even like turn the computer on, and yet you're lost for an entire day.
How did I get here?
Yeah, you got to be really careful.
You do, and sometimes like the worst is sleeping near your phone, and I need to stop doing this. I need to have the phone in the kitchen charging. I'll wake up at 3 a.m. for whatever reason and can't fall back asleep. I'll just fall into an Instagram black hole. And then before you know it, I'm like, I know everything about this person's life. And I'm like, who am I? I'm a stalker right now. Go to sleep.
Yeah. It's especially say if you wake up in the middle of the night, there is an urge sometimes, if you're not feeling tired, to pick up your phone and just kind of poke around and see, did anybody like this post that I put before I went to bed? And it's really going to screw up your entire night's sleep. I recently started doing Sleep Cycle, which actually is against the whole phone next to the bed thing, because the phone actually tracks your sleep and how good your sleep has been.
Like REM cycle?
Yeah, like it'll track it and it'll show. It actually is based on the microphone, which is the creepiest part, is that like it listens to you. And I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they could just like tap into people's phones and listen to what they're saying. It actually records when you snore too, and you can listen to yourself snoring. What I'm really excited about, I know this sounds creepy.
That's creepy.
Yeah, but Natalie, I've never talked about this on the podcast, but sometimes she talks in her sleep, and it gets really weird and scary. There was actually this one night that I'll never forget. We went out drinking, so I think this part had something to do with it. We both went to bed. We were pretty drunk, and then 3-4 hours later, she wakes up and she starts yelling at me to get out of the bed. And she's yelling at me that I'm sweating and that I'm the vice president. She thought I was the vice president of the United States of America. And she's like, get out of bed. You're the vice president. Why are you sweating? Why are you sweating? And she's just screaming at me. And I was thinking, and then I was kind of delirious because she just woke me up with this. So I thought that I was the vice president. And
for a minute there.
Yeah. And then so I was trying to get her to relax. Like, it's okay. I'm the vice president. And then when we realized what we were doing, we just were laughing for like 5 minutes straight and we couldn't get out of it. I was like, I wish that system was recording at that time, because if I had that recording, it'd be like the greatest thing I'd ever create. But I'm hoping, this is a weird thing to hope for, but I hope she has some crazy like rants that she goes on in the middle of the night, and we can record it with Sleep Cycle, and then I'll put it on the podcast.
So that's what you use now to track your sleep and to record her conversations and your snoring.
Exactly. It's been a week now that we've both been doing it. We're like competing, and it's actually interesting to see. And this is something that's difficult. Sleep is so important. Like it's been, Ariana Huffington just wrote a book about sleep. A lot of people are talking about it because especially in America, it's like the hustle, it's the grind, it's, no sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love sleep. Sleep is the best. You need to make sure you have time for it. The one factor is when you're in a relationship, it's a little bit harder to get good quality sleep. And we were looking at our sleep cycles. We both set them up on each side of our beds. And it, like, when I wake up at 5:30, Natalie sleeps for probably another hour and a half after that, but she always wakes up when I wake up. Like, she'll be fully awake and then she'll go back into REM sleep. But that is a challenge to balance. Is like, yeah, I want to sleep with you, but I would get way better sleep if I was in my own bed right now.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Is it because you're a light sleeper or she's a light sleeper? Because I can sleep through, I used to think that I couldn't, but I can sleep through anything. And Joe's a pretty hard sleeper too. But if he gets up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, I definitely find myself like one-eyeing it and then going back to sleep. So that does disturb my REM cycle.
I think it's more of the getting out of bed. Like, even if I'm stirring around in bed and I'm on my phone, she, like, I think is comfortable knowing I'm there. And then if I leave and get out of bed, maybe it's like an attachment thing. She's like, where'd you go?
Well, do you guys go to bed at the same time?
We do, yeah.
We do too.
Yeah, it honestly, I used to, Natalie was talking to her coworkers and she was saying a lot of them were amazed at how early we go to bed, because everybody goes to bed at 11, 12, 1 a.m. And I remember when I used to go to bed at 1 a.m. It was before Natalie and I lived together. And then she would wake up early for work, so I started going to bed early as well, like 9:30 p.m. What time do you go to bed?
We go to bed Joe can be asleep on the couch at 8. And I'm like nudging him.
It's such like a dad thing. I remember my dad like would not stay awake throughout the day at all. You just like pass out in the middle of every TV show, every movie.
He dozes pretty easily, and I have to nudge him and be like, hey, old guy, it's 8 p.m. Like, let's watch something and then go to bed at 10. We try to make it to 10. Otherwise, we just feel lame. But we try. Yeah. It's very easy to go to bed at 9:30.
I love it. I love going to bed at 9:30.
And then you can perk out of bed at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and then I feel really good. I feel well rested. I got that REM sleep.
That's when your body heals. That's when your muscles rebuild. Like, and also I feel like a big part of our mental health has to deal with sleep. And I was reading something about sleeping patterns, and I feel like my sleeping pattern is that of a bear. Like, one of them was like,
you just sleep for 9 months out of the year.
I'm sleeping right now.
Yeah.
It was a bear in that this could be completely wrong, but it was from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then there were some people who were insomniacs, and then some people who couldn't fall asleep. They go to bed at midnight, but they can't really fall asleep until 4. Between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. is their sweet spot of REM. That sounds awful.
That would be horrifying if that was my life.
I would not be able to function as a human. So I think a big part of it too is knowing your sleep patterns and how you can kind of regulate back to a normal. But how do you do that? I think it's the sounds too, keeping your room at a good temperature, black curtains, like blackout curtains, eye mask, earplugs. Do what you got to do. Yeah,
there's a lot of resources and a lot of tools out there. You can get a little Bluetooth speaker and play some birds
white
chirping.
Noise.
Yeah, whatever it is. I heard the white noise helps a lot. I even turned just the fan on an air conditioner on.
We love that,
yeah.
the fan. Magnesium, too. Have you ever done that before bed?
No.
Just some powdered magnesium in a cup of water really helps you sleep.
So what is that? It's magnesium? Like,
magnesium.
Why does that
I'm
help?
not sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I kind of got stuck on taking melanin. No.
Melatonin. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I do not want to have to take melatonin to go to bed every night.
Because you build up a tolerance to it pretty damn quick.
Exactly. And I was waking up really groggy. And so I stopped doing that, and I just thought, okay. And also, too, with the workouts in the morning, I feel like I do sleep harder and faster. I'm out as soon as my head hits the pillow.
I feel the same way about coffee, but I can't kick coffee.
I can't kick coffee.
I love the taste.
Yeah.
I love the way it makes me feel.
I love the smell.
It makes me feel warm inside. And it is almost at this point, it's like a Pavlovian response. I'll like ready to work, got my coffee, and I'm working. And it just feels like work to me. I know that's all in my head. I could erase that and I could change it for tea or something else that might be Healthier.
That's your routine.
Yeah. That's part of it. I don't know. I keep saying, all right, I'm going to go cold turkey coffee. No coffee, but I just haven't done it.
What would you replace it with?
Nothing. No, I don't know. I was thinking about just, all right, I'll go to 1 cup a day because I was going 2 cups a day for a while. I'll go down to 1, and then I'll do tea, or maybe I'll do half a cup, or do a cup. I actually tried to do a cup every other day, but that didn't work because then I still got the headaches every other day.
It's true.
Like, but I couldn't focus. I couldn't do any work, and I feel like it's probably not the best thing in the world to be that dependent on a substance that you can't work without it.
That's me. I really can't get through the day without coffee. Yeah. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah. But it's not like cigarettes. It's not like it's going to kill us, right?
No, they actually say a cup a day is healthy for you.
That's what I heard, but I don't know if I believe that because I can't, like, if I'm getting crazy headaches every other day.
Published by a coffee consumer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't stop drinking. But that's the thing with the research and the studies. John Oliver did an episode on this where it's like every day new research comes out. Like, news reporters love to talk about new study confirms that blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, is that like one specific study of 200 people, or are we talking about like a big study of like 10,000 people? That's
true. I never think about that when they say studies. I never think about, okay, well, what's your audience? Like, who are you studying? How many of those people are you studying?
Yeah.
That's very true. But I'm the same. Live by the coffee.
Yeah.
Elixir of life.
Good. I'm probably going to just keep drinking coffee for a while now.
It's not going to change.
Yeah. It just tastes too good. Actually, my whole intro of this show is like coffee getting ground up. Like the video intro. But so I don't think I can just get rid of coffee. That would just be weird.
Also, the smell of coffee and toast. Have you ever just smelled the two together?
Coffee and toast.
The
I
smell
didn't even think about that. Like,
I know, it's very bizarre.
Yeah.
But imagine the smell of brewing coffee, which on its own is pretty euphoric, right?
Yeah.
Now add toast. Toast to the mix.
Toast. I love toast.
Oh, so
I like
good.
it. You're like not a gluten. You love gluten.
Love the gluten.
Gluten eater. I love gluten. We should start a gluten club for gluten lovers.
Yeah, just bread.
Yeah. I love bread. Bread is the best.
Bread is the best.
Oh, man.
So good.
Like just toasted bread. The first time I went to a restaurant and they gave me a basket of bread, I was like, this is cool. I'm done. Like, I don't even need a meal.
This is a great meal.
Yeah. It was Olive Garden. I love Olive Garden.
The breadsticks.
The breadsticks. I haven't been to Olive Garden in a while.
I haven't either. It's been like 5 years.
My mom, like I say I'm Olive Garden Italian because my mom, it was like last Christmas, she gave me an Olive Garden gift card.
Wow. That means you really love Olive Garden.
So I guess you probably talk about that as well because it's all about like relationships, health, wellness, fitness, and a balance between all of them. What's like your diet look like, and what have you heard about the best way to eat?
Can I tell you, I've spent probably close to $4,000 on Instagram programs. Can you believe that that's a thing?
What?
Me. I have done that. Me. Because, yeah, those ads work. I look at these Instagram models and I'm like, she looks amazing. I want to look like that. And I've learned through spending all my money that there's no secret. You've got to eat right. You got to drink lots of water, take your vitamins, get your sleep, foam roll, and work out every day. And it is about portion control because I on the daily consume carbs. I on the daily drink wine. On most days, I on the daily love sweets. I'll have my dessert first, even like that's what I'm known for. I'm consuming 2 or 3 pieces of pizza and not a whole medium one like I used to do, but it's just like balanced throughout the day. So for me, I was telling you before, I set my alarm for every 2.5 hours. It started like that because I would push through the day and work and forget to eat, and now it's more like it's keeping my metabolism going, and it keeps me so that for the next in the night, 12 to 14 hours, I'm fasting, and then I do my boot camp fasted cardio.
Yeah, I think that the main thing to mention there is that you have to create a sustainable lifestyle. You could work 10 to 12 hours a day, drinking only coffee and having a piece of toast here and there, and maybe only eating breakfast and like late at night for dinner, but not really eating something that's healthy and well thought out. And you could probably do that for a week, maybe. You're gonna hit a wall though
before you're hangry.
Yeah. Oh my god. And think about like how that's gonna affect your other relationships.
Absolutely.
When your husband comes home from work, then you might be more likely to lash out at them because
your tolerance is low.
Yeah, because your tolerance is low.
I have a lot of girlfriends who are perpetually dieting, and I'm sure we all have friends who are perpetually dieting, but it's that thing where it's like, we really have to have a good relationship with food. And it's so weird because there's so many, I don't know any meal plans that I've ever bought or that's been given to me that says to cut out carbs. Like they all say cut out carbs. And for me personally, I mean, some people can't have gluten. But for me, that's my fuel. Like that's what gets me through. And it's also a comfort food. But it is like, what is sustainable for you as a lifestyle? I couldn't do greens, and I have vegan friends and they love it. They live by, eating fresh, eating green and clean and lean. For me, I can do that 2 meals out of the day, but then the other meal has to be, pretty big.
I think you have to experiment.
Yes,
And
what's right for your body.
it's a balance, and to live a vegan lifestyle, it works for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work for everybody. Same with vegetarianism. I think you should experiment. You should try it. Like a lot of times it's easy to just hate on somebody because they're vegan or make fun of them. And yeah, it's funny to make fun of vegans. But at the end of the day, you should try it. Like do it for a week. See how you feel.
I did 30 days.
Yeah.
I did 30-day vegan challenge. And we really did it. And it was really difficult for us. And through that process, I just realized that I need to eat more greens and vegetables and fruits. And I love eating those things. But I also I'm not a 100% clean eater. So you're completely right. It's experimenting and knowing what's right for your body, how your body responds, and how you can sustain that lifestyle.
Listening to your body is a challenge.
Oh, yeah. Intuitive eating.
Yeah, everybody says listen to your body. Listen, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll have it sneaks up on you sometimes where you're like, oh shit, like why does my stomach feel like this? Oh, it's probably because I just had like a 2-pound steak and it's like my body's trying to digest it.
It's rejecting it.
How do you listen to your body when it comes to dieting, when it comes to, exercising and working out, where you don't push yourself too hard or you push yourself just hard enough?
I'm pretty obsessive. I have a very obsessive personality. So when I was prepping for the wedding, I was working out all the time and probably not consuming enough calories. And me listening to my body was literally the night before our wedding. I was having mac and cheese, chips, wine, chocolate. I was having it all because I wasn't practicing that whole balance thing. Like you said, there are people who can go and eat clean all the time and they feel great and that works for them. For me, it didn't. So listening to my body means if I'm feeling tired, sleep, and if I'm feeling hungry, eat. And if I'm full, stop, because that's another thing, stress eating. I'm human, I do it. And so just knowing when I'm full and not being distracted when I'm eating, man, is that hard.
Usually in my life, when I add one small change, when I start going to the gym more consistently, I go 5-6 days a week, it's like a domino that changes everything else in my life.
Oh, yeah.
I will start to eat better because I feel better. I feel lighter. I'll have a protein shake afterwards. It kind of all stems from this one activity, and then everything ripple effects throughout my day. Do you find that as well? And I'm curious if there's any 1 or 2 things that you do that are really a catalyst for the rest of your well-being in your life.
Much like what you just said, if I work out once a day, then that really does jumpstart me to want to eat better and drink more water and do nice things and treat myself right. Stress is a huge factor. So if something gets thrown in my day that just is a wrench in it all, then yeah, I definitely fall off of my routine and I'll sleep in, or I'll get up and have, frosted covered Oreos for breakfast or whatever. But keeping to my routine also helps me to keep the balance of the whole getting up and having the room temperature water with the lemon and working out. Like you said, that kind of snowballs into the rest of my day going smoothly, and you kind of want to do better and eat better when you're treating yourself better.
What do you do when you're feeling stuck?
I'm an Aries. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but apparently I'm true Aries form in that I don't really allow myself to have bad days. And that kind of sounds weird and robotic and not realistic, but I'm human. I have bad days. When I find myself having a bad day, I kind of don't let it creep into my world. Like, I see you coming and I'm going to force field you out. And so it's a state of mind, right? And it's an attitude. And sometimes my goals are bigger than my bad attitude. And I really think I'm very self-aware. So if, like yesterday, I was not feeling motivated to go to the gym, I was really tired, I had a huge headache. And I just thought, okay, emotions are fleeting. this will move on, and I just need to go, because once I've never regretted it. And so that kind of moved me out of that bad space, and then I felt so much better. My attitude was so much better. And so it's just recognizing when I'm starting to feel, glummy and icky, and just kind of moving my mind out of that into something better.
There's a lot of pressure to do everything now, fix everything in your life today, to create the workout habits, to build the audience, to create the documentary, to do all these things today, to start today. And it can be overwhelming because there's a lot to be done, and we can always improve in every one of these points. I think patience is probably one of the most important things that I have to continue to learn about myself. Do you find yourself to be pretty patient?
I'm patient when it comes to other people, not patient when it comes to myself. So I know that there's deadlines. I know I have to create content every day. Like, I know that there's so much that I got to get done today, but it's also being forgiving of myself and knowing, okay, that's when the planner comes in. I know I just keep coming back to this planner, but it's knowing that, okay, of the weekly goals, of the monthly goals, how can I break them down into daily bite-sized goals, so that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's just something that it's just that one thing I have to do, cross it off the list, and then you're working towards the big picture. So I think that helps me keep focused, because absolutely every day I can feel overwhelmed. Like, there's so much to do and to squeeze in, but it's just like, sometimes even I will block out hour by hour of the day. So from 7 to 8, I'm working out. 8 to 9, I'm returning emails. 9 to 10, I'm doing nothing but laundry. 11 to 12, I take a nap if I want to, or meditate, or scroll through Instagram. So I'm not doing it at 3 a.m., but just blocking out time for yourself, and then being forgiving if you don't get something done. Like, it's okay.
What is the big picture? What keeps you on track?
Big picture for me is using my brand to help other people. So ideally, in 5 years, I would love to just be on my blog, vlogging on YouTube about, volunteering my time. Like, a big part of what Joe and I want to do surrounds being philanthropic and, dedicating our time and resources to helping other people, because we are so fortunate to do what we do and live where we live. And I feel like, perception is reality, and anyone anywhere can feel like they're overwhelmed. And so it's just stepping back, and ideally I would love to just travel the world doing what I do. And so that's what keeps me going. I just think about traveling. I want to travel. I want to share my travels with people. I want to use my voice. I want to share my stories and somehow tie in charities.
That's great. I think that's a great point to move on to quick questions.
Yes. Ooh.
Quick questions it's this segment where I ask questions. I really got to come up with a tagline or something. I got a music thing now. I haven't always had this music track, but I really got to work on that. Preparation, right?
Yes.
I didn't prepare at all. What's the simplest advice that's the most important to follow?
Be forgiving of yourself.
How do you deal with criticism and shitty YouTube comments?
Block and delete.
Okay, so block and delete. And how do you know? And they could be a little bit longer. It could be a couple sentences.
Okay,
yeah, it's not that. I mean, it used to be quick questions, not so quick answers. But I do like it to be in a couple sentences.
Oh,
so let's say a
okay.
couple sentences.
Okay.
All right. So how do you deal with criticism and shitty YouTube comments?
I have to remember that a lot of them are very young, and a lot of people get bored, and so they say mean things, and it's not necessarily directed to me. But a lot of times, honestly, I block and delete them because I'm petty.
Do you look at a lot of your comments?
Every one of them. I respond to every single comment within the first 24 hours. So a lot of times, out of 50 comments, if one is bad, it really affects me. And I don't know why. So I try to, okay, they don't mean it, it's fine. Or I just block and delete altogether. Or I respond with kindness.
How do you know when to accept somebody's criticism and actually make a change?
I don't know that I know that yet.
And also, not specifically YouTube comments. Sometimes they might strike the core, but oftentimes we might get it from family and friends.
Joe has given me constructive criticism, and I know that every time he means it in a very nice way, and it's coming from a healthy space. So I try to take them as critiques and apply them to whatever it is that I'm doing. But I also know that I'm not perfect, and he deals with a lot. So his biggest thing is patience, and so that's why I say live by patience, because I think patience really is key in a lot of situations.
What one skill have you leveraged in a way that you think others haven't?
I think talking about topics that are very personal to my heart and to my life. I've gotten used to talking about them in a way that is very therapeutic to me, but it also helps people because I feel like everyone loves to talk about themselves, but if you can remove yourself from that situation and help them through whatever you've been through, you can help them move through it too. So I hope that I've perfected that.
What drives you?
It's knowing that no one else is going to do it for me. But my biggest drive is my daughter, Corinne. Hugest drive. Like, I want to give her the kind of life that she didn't have when she was little because we really struggled, and the kind of life that my parents never gave to my brother, my sister, and myself.
Oh, okay. So this is a fun one. This is something new that I'm going to start doing on the podcast. It's, I don't know if you noticed, but over your shoulder, there's a photo of The Rock.
I know that photo.
Oh, you do? You're well aware of...
Joe put this on Instagram because this was him. He was this for Halloween one year.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Wow, mad respect. I was actually thinking about doing that this year. So my big goal on the podcast is to get The Rock on the show.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's like my stretch goal. And it's been a work in progress. Like, he hasn't returned my phone calls. But lately I've been employing the secret. I'm manifesting my dreams. I'm starting a mood board, and I think it's actually just going to be that photo 100 times, just printed out in different sizes.
I live by the secret.
Yeah, so actually I have it in, this is
great.
look at this. Oh, in my wallet.
Oh my gosh.
I got the photo as well.
That's The Rock right there in his wallet next to his bank card.
I carry The Rock around everywhere I go now. I just did this yesterday because I was like, I'm getting serious about this, and I really want The Rock on the show. He's, arguably one of the busiest men on the planet. Very hard to get a hold of. Very hard to get him to come onto a random guy's podcast. But what I want to do, because you have more clout than me, you're more important than me. Can I have you look at the camera and just pitch The Rock on coming on Matt's podcast?
Dwayne, I have to tell you, I think you would have a wonderful time here on Matt's podcast because you're going to talk about real things. You're going to get to help people. You can use this platform for your voice, and you can still talk about your routine where you still work out. We watch your videos every day where you work out every day, no matter how busy you are, no matter what set you're on. And I think this is the perfect place for your voice. So do it. Return his phone calls already, or we'll have to stalk you. So.
That's great. I don't know. It's going to be hard. He's got like 100 million followers on Instagram.
Crazy. It's crazy.
It's an uphill battle, but I love a challenge. And I think it would be, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I have to tell you, one day when he comes here and he signs that photo on the wall, I'm going to get to say that I contributed to that.
You absolutely will. You're the first one to give the pitch on camera, which is actually, I think, going to be a big part of it. My goal is to replace that photo with a selfie of me and The Rock.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Even a life-size cutout.
Yeah, that's the goal. So thanks for being a part of that. We have 2 more questions here.
Absolutely.
Name one thing people need to read, watch, or listen to before they go to bed tonight.
For right now, I'll just say the 5 love languages and the 4 agreements. Very important.
And how should people connect with you online?
Very easily to find online. I'm jesslizama.com or Jess_Lizama on all social media.
Very nice. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. That was great.
Thanks for listening to The Ground Up Show. If you like this podcast, there's something you can do right now to help. Head on over to iTunes and leave a quick review. I print out every single one and I put them up on my mood board above my bed. Okay, that's not true, but I still notice and appreciate every one. For more on The Ground Up Show, including behind-the-scenes videos, check out groundupshow.com. Thanks for listening.